Greetings from our channel again. Barbara Mandrell became a brilliant star in the glistening limelight of country music venues in the 1970s and 1980s, when creativity and traditional melodies collided. In addition to being a superb vocalist, she was a representation of bravery, ingenuity, and tenacity in the entertainment sector. Chart-topping hits like Sleeping Single in a Double Bed and I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool helped Mandrell win 2 prestigious Entertainer of the Year awards from the Country Music Association, an honor that is still only given to a few female artists. However, beneath all of that glitz is a tale of conflicting feelings. Let's explore the remarkable journey of Barbara Mandrell, a legend who not only defined country music but also embodied a story of struggle, sacrifice, and profound values. How could a star at the height of her career suddenly step away from the spotlight? What motivated her to abandon such a stellar career in favor of a peaceful life with her family? Was it the pain of a tragic accident, or was it just the heartfelt call of motherhood that go beyond the stage's dazzling lights? Born on Christmas Day, 1948, in Houston, Texas, Barbara Mandrell came from a household where music was not only a passion but a way of life. Being the oldest of 3 sisters, Barbara's parents instilled in her a deep love of music at a young age. Her mother, Mary Ellen, taught piano and provided her daughter with early melodies, while her father, Herbie Mandrell, was a visionary guitarist and music entrepreneur. However, this passion for music wasn't unplanned or easy. It was created by rigorous and occasionally taxing discipline. Barbara was expected to master every note in addition to learning how to play an instrument. On many days, practice sessions lasted so long that her small hands began to bleed, yet she never voiced any complaints. Not only did her father put pressure on her, but Barbara also had high standards for herself. She wanted to be perfect and succeed. Barbara's talent was a gift that the family could not afford to waste, according to Herbie. The Mandrell family relocated to Oceanside, California, when Barbara was 6 years old, and her father set up a music store there. This served as the setting for Barbara's unique childhood as well as the beginning of her musical career. In the practice room, Barbara spent endless hours learning the steel guitar, a notoriously complex instrument, while her peers played with dolls and relished the carefree days of youth. Driven by the hope that her ability might one day be recognized, she persevered despite the pressure and exhaustion of these practice sessions, which required not only focus but also tremendous mental strength. At the age of 11, she was crowned Princess of Steel due to a combination of her innate talent and strict discipline. Because Barbara was aware that everyone was watching her every move, this label served as both an invisible weight and a badge of pride. But Barbara's gift was not limited to the tiny space of her family's house. Early on, her father exposed her to the great stage after seeing her enormous ability. Country music icons Patsy Cline and Johnny Cash, who were immediately captivated by the exceptional talent and professionalism of a lady barely in her teens, started touring with Barbara. In addition to showcasing her technical mastery during these concerts, Barbara enthralled spectators with her imposing presence. Behind the cheers, though, she was met with jealous looks from peers and even some industry people who thought her success was entirely due to her family's help. The loneliness Barbara experienced was frequently not hidden by the stage's brilliant lights. During those quiet times, she questioned whether she was really following her passion or if she was just trying to achieve the goals her parents had set for her. But rather of allowing these uncertainties to control her, Barbara turned them into inspiration to keep going. When her father started the Mandrell Family Band, a family group that included all of its members, the internal strife grew more intense. Her youngest sister, Erlene, took up drums, Louise played guitar and bass, Barbara played steel guitar, and her mother performed piano. Through their constant nationwide tours and USO appearances for soldiers overseas, the band rose to fame. Behind the glitz and glamour of the stage, however, Barbara frequently wondered if she was fulfilling her parents' expectations or pursuing her own dreams. With each trip, she had to say goodbye to the childhood fantasies she believed she ought to be living. Barbara, however, discovered how to turn these stresses into fuel rather than crumbling under the strain. Her biggest comfort came from the roaring applause that followed each performance, which served as a constant reminder that all of her hard work had been worthwhile. In addition to molding Barbara Mandrell into a gifted artist, her early years also created a strong character that prepared her for the demands of the entertainment industry. These early hardships shaped not only an extraordinary performer but also a strong woman who would do whatever it took to push boundaries and make her mark. Barbara Mandrell, who was used to pressure and high standards, thought her life was about to take a more relaxed turn after graduating from high school. She married Ken Dudney, whom she had fallen profoundly in love with as a young woman, when she was 19 years old. For a young lady looking for security in the face of the demanding demands of life on stage, this marriage appeared to be a modest ideal. After a stressful childhood, Barbara believed she could relax and begin a modest family life. However, destiny once again prevented her from escaping the limelight for too long. Her deep love of music was rekindled when she visited the Grand Ole Opry while in Nashville. The audience's applause, the resonant country tunes, and the lively environment brought back memories of the deep-seated passion for music that had always been a part of her. She understood that without pursuing her musical career further, the family life she had long desired would remain unfulfilled. With a fresh resolve to establish herself as a genuine artist as well as the princess of the steel guitar, Barbara went back to her passion. Barbara signed a deal with Columbia Records in 1969 with the steadfast backing of her father, Barbara Mandrell, who was adamant that her gift should not be wasted. This was the crucial action that took her from family shows to a bigger platform, where she would encounter a variety of difficulties. "I've Been Loving You Too Long," her debut hit, was a blatant example of Barbara's skill. Despite being a copy of the well-known song by Otis Redding, Barbara's passion and emotion gave it a powerful and unique sound. The song immediately became well-known, introducing Barbara Mandrell to the music world. Early success, nevertheless, did not guarantee a smooth future. During her early career, Barbara encountered criticism and distrust. Many people thought her music was unusual since it combined traditional country music with elements of R&B and soul. She was perceived by critics and even some industry peers as making unnecessary attempts to break the norm. Barbara had to establish herself as a champion for the freedom to be inventive and unique in her music in addition to being a superb vocalist, something that male co-workers at the time were much more comfortable doing. The tracks on Barbara's first album, Treat Him Right, which was published in 1971, demonstrated her distinct sound. In addition to receiving positive reviews from listeners, the album was the beginning of her ascent to fame in contemporary country music. Songs like Playing Around with Love and Show Me were popular not only because they were catchy but also because Barbara's lyrics told moving tales that let listeners experience the unfiltered feelings she had in her own life. However, Barbara was never content to sit back and enjoy her success. She saw the process of discovering new possibilities as the essence of artwork rather than repetition. Barbara bravely decided to leave Columbia Records after working there for a number of years and sign with ABC Records in 1975. This action led her to work with Tom Collins, a forward-thinking music producer who isn't afraid to push the envelope. A new chapter in Barbara's career began with their collaboration. Standing Room Only, which was released that same year, swiftly rose into the top 5 on the country charts, confirming Barbara's change in musical direction. Barbara's inventiveness was evident in both her songs and performances. Her concerts served as more than just places for her admirers to hear her music. They were full-scale productions with multi-instrumental performances, energetic dance routines, and intricate costume changes. It wasn't just Barbara's singing that audiences heard. They observed her becoming proficient on the steel guitar, banjo, and saxophone, but also set the stage for her career's most illustrious period. In her heart, Barbara knew that being creative was more than just making people happy. It was how she remained loyal to herself. She used every song and performance as a platform to share her narrative, transforming hardships and suffering into works of art. Because of her genuineness, Barbara Mandrell became more than just a well-known figure in the country music industry, she became an indispensable icon. Barbara Mandrell's career reached previously unheard of heights during the years she worked with producer Tom Collins and ABC Records. But rather than settling for her early success, she kept pushing the limits of country music, which is known for its adherence to tradition. Barbara sang more than just traditional country tunes. She instilled in them the contemporary spirit of soul and R&B, establishing a striking hybrid look. Her songs told tales of love, treachery, and the silent sacrifices of life. They were more than just music, they were narratives in which listeners frequently recognized themselves. From 1975 to the late 1970s, Barbara consistently created hits that people would remember. She reached new heights with her song Sleeping Single in a Double Bed in 1978, hitting the Billboard Country chart at number 1. It was more than simply a song, it was a fearless statement from a woman who wasn't scared to take on the most difficult parts of romantic relationships. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right followed, solidifying her status as a trailblazer who broke down barriers in country music narrative. Barbara didn't want her music to be the only thing her audience heard. She wished for them to feel it. Her performances were colorful works of art rather than just concerts. Barbara transformed every performance into a full-fledged entertainment extravaganza, complete with multi-instrumental performances, elaborate stage lighting, and specially created costumes. She regularly switched up her performance attire, added exciting dancing moves, and astounded spectators by playing several instruments with ease, such as the bass, banjo, and steel guitar. In addition to making her one of the most adored performers, her unrelenting inventiveness changed how people viewed country music, making it seem more vibrant and contemporary rather than relegated to tradition. Barbara Mandrell not only remained well-known but also topped the charts when the 1980s got underway. Her ability to connect country music with a wider audience was demonstrated by the success of hits like Years, Crackers, and I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool, in particular, was a potent declaration of Barbara's devotion to her heritage in spite of the difficulties and disruptions in the music business. Few female painters ever attained the level of recognition that Barbara did during this time. She was the first female to win the Country Music Association's CMA Entertainer of the Year award twice in a row in 1980 and 1981. In addition to recognizing her talent, these honors demonstrated that women could hold leadership positions in a largely male-dominated field. Only a few musicians, such as Taylor Swift, have accomplished this feat to date, underscoring Barbara's groundbreaking impact. Behind the scenes, however, Barbara's life was everything but ideal. Her life was severely changed in 1984 by a tragic vehicle accident. Mark White, a 19-year-old motorist, crossed the center line and struck Barbara's car head-on when she was traveling home to Nashville with her 2 small children. Barbara and her children suffered severe injuries, and Mark White passed away immediately. Although Barbara's children survived, they had scars that plagued the family for years. Barbara also suffered a fractured leg, ankle, and serious head trauma that resulted in temporary brain damage. The collision caused severe mental trauma in addition to physical discomfort. Barbara needed more than a year to recuperate from the severity of her injuries, but the consequences of her brain injury persisted. She experienced psychological changes and memory loss, which she compared to losing a piece of herself. Barbara had to continuously face a difficult question as a result of the bewilderment and unrelenting anguish. Was her illustrious career coming to an end, or would she ever be able to perform again? The difficulties didn't end there. In order to get insurance coverage for her enormous medical bills, Barbara had to sue Mark White's family under Tennessee law. This caused criticism even though it was only a legal necessity to satisfy insurance requirements. Her image was somewhat damaged when she was chastised for suing the victim's family without knowing the whole context. Barbara, however, remained steadfast, concentrating on her recuperation and leading a resilient life. Barbara used the disaster as a springboard for important action rather than letting it become an unsolvable tragedy. After her recuperation, she became an ardent supporter of seatbelt use, spreading awareness via her personal experience. She took part in events and public campaigns to promote seatbelt use as an advocate for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Barbara openly admitted, "My kids and I wouldn't be here to tell this story if it weren't for seatbelts." In keeping with her personality, Barbara Mandrell resisted allowing tragedy to define her. She made her theatrical comeback just 8 months after the accident, participating in a charity concert with Dolly Parton. Despite the discomfort, those initial steps back symbolized Barbara's victorious return. In addition to starting her profession again, she became a strong supporter of seatbelt use and participated in public safety initiatives to encourage driving safety. For Barbara, the accident served as a reminder of life's resilience, optimism, and willpower rather than its demise. Even if musical preferences started to move toward new genres by the late 1980s, Barbara's admirers still had a particular place in their hearts. She continued to be one of the most adored performers, regularly filled arenas with her thrilling presentations, even as her chart-topping hits decreased. Following almost 30 years of unrelenting devotion to music, Barbara startled the industry in 1997 by announcing her retirement at the age of 49. She made the deeply personal decision to focus all of her time and energy on her family, rather than being motivated by fear or failure. Being a loving mother, she wanted to be there for her son as he started high school, when parental supervision was more important than ever. In a symbolic move that demonstrated her determination to end her musical career, Barbara even went so far as to sell all of her instruments. "I don't regret anything." In an interview, she said, "I've done what I wanted to do. And now it's time to live the life I've always longed for." The Last Dance, Barbara's last show at the Grand Ole Opry, was more than just a concert. Her remarkable career was celebrated with enthusiasm. Under stunning lighting, Barbara made her appearance on the exquisitely decorated stage. For the last time, she sang the hits that shaped her career in front of thousands of fans. The evening turned into a historic occasion, complete with roaring acclaim, tears from her fans, and sincere farewells. With deep appreciation, a contented grin, and the hope of a tranquil future with her family, Barbara wrapped up her work. Even though Barbara Mandrell no longer performs, her legacy lives on in the hearts of her fans and the music business. In addition to being an artist, she was a strong, courageous woman who confronted tragedy head-on, conquered it, and turned it into a source of inspiration for the rest of the world. Behind the scenes, Barbara Mandrell was a strong lady with a profoundly meaningful personal life in addition to being an amazing artist. Barbara always retained a piece of herself for her family, where she found true calm amidst the upheavals of the entertainment industry, even though her celebrity made her an icon. Despite the tremendous demands of her profession, Barbara found strength in her love for Ken Dudney, the man she had been married to since she was a young woman. In addition to being her boyfriend, Ken, a former Navy pilot who had previously played drums in the Mandrell family band, served as a constant source of support. Even in the face of life-altering circumstances, like the 1984 automobile tragedy, their love remained strong and resilient over time. Throughout the months she spent recuperating physically and mentally, Ken was there to support and care for her. Even at the height of her career, Barbara always put her position as a mother first. She had 3 children, Nathaniel Mandrell Dudney, Jamie Nicole, and Kenneth Matthew. She declared her retirement in 1997 and focused all of her attention on her family, especially her youngest son Nathaniel, who was going through a difficult time in high school. Barbara once said that the best gift life could give was to watch her kids grow up in a loving, calm environment. Barbara never completely gave up on her love of music, even if she moved out of the spotlight. Occasionally, she gave devotional performances of hymns at church or in small groups. These times gave her the opportunity to express consolation and religion with her community in addition to keeping her linked to music. But Barbara's private life extended beyond her music and family. She was a strong, determined woman who devoted a large portion of her time to social and charitable causes. Since she felt that wearing seatbelts had saved her and her children's lives, Barbara became a vocal supporter of traffic safety initiatives. She also contributed to a wide range of other nonprofits, including those that help veterans and orphans. From the demands of parenting to the huge expectations of her audience, Barbara never shied away from candidly talking about the difficulties she had encountered. Whether discussing familial love or life's challenges, it constantly struck a chord with people, inspiring and evoking empathy. For Barbara, motivating and guiding the next generation was not only her duty but also a vital aspect of her existence. Barbara managed to find equilibrium and peace in her hectic life. She found happiness in life's small joys at the Mandrell family's Nashville property, a vast ranch encircled by tranquil nature. Barbara felt most at peace on days when she was taking care of her garden, playing with her pets, or just sitting with Ken and watching the field's sunset. Despite its difficulties, Barbara Mandrell's life ultimately teaches us about love, selflessness, and eternal principles. In addition to being a representation of country music, she was also a resilient role model who prioritized her family and her faith. Even though she no longer performs on stage, Barbara nevertheless leads a purposeful life that she created herself, driven by love and unshakable faith. In addition to leaving a lasting impression on country music, Barbara Mandrell is remembered by fans as a representation of tenacity and commitment. She dedicated herself fully to her family after achieving the height of her career and leaving the limelight, yet her legacy and impact endured for generations. Barbara never completely separated herself from the music industry, even though she stopped doing paid performances. She earned a well-earned induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2009 for her outstanding achievements. With performances by well-known performers like Reba McEntire and Michael McDonald, the program was not just a celebration of Barbara's career but also an emotional homage. But the happy occasion was tinged with sadness because her father, Herbie Mandrell, who had been the driving force behind her adventure, had died only 2 months prior. "The name Mandrell is the legacy my father left me, and I am proud to carry that name into the Hall of Fame," Barbara said in an impassioned address. In addition to being a well-known figure, Barbara served as an inspiration to several generations of female artists. Legends like Shania Twain, Carrie Underwood, and Faith Hill have frequently said how much they admire her for her inventiveness as well as her skill in country music. As Carrie Underwood recently said, "Barbara cleared the path for myself and other female performers. We all benefited from what she accomplished, not just herself." Barbara's 2022 appearance at the Grand Ole Opry to commemorate 50 years since joining the esteemed organization was one of the few times she took the stage again. She didn't perform, but her presence served as a moving reminder of the heyday of country music and her lasting influence. In a moving homage, female performers CeCe Winans and Carrie Underwood sang Barbara's songs that night. "The Opry has always been my home," Barbara said as she sat in the audience, her eyes gleaming with pride. "Whenever I return here, I feel as though I've found my place." In addition to her musical career, Barbara left behind an amazing legacy through her residence in Nashville, the Fontanelle Mansion. Currently a well-liked tourist destination, it provides people with the opportunity to learn more about Barbara's and her family's past through entertainment events, music performances, and guided tours. The home represents her colorful life and the ideals she held dear, and it is more than just a location. The life of Barbara Mandrell is one of hardship, success, and unwavering tenacity. Her name still shines brilliantly, not only because of her music but also because of the morals she preserved, even after she left the spotlight more than 2 years ago. She continues to be a living example of the strength of love, family, and the desire to overcome obstacles in life, in addition to being a country music star. Barbara Mandrell is a perfect example of a career based on skill, enthusiasm, and steadfast principles. She once remarked, "I don't need fame to feel whole, I just need to live a meaningful life." Even though a new chapter in her life has begun, the inspiration she gave the world will live on in the lives of generations to come. In addition to being a renowned artist, Barbara Mandrell was a strong lady who lived life to the fullest with responsibility and passion. She chose the more difficult route, not only to maintain her composure in the face of attention but also to define her life according to her own standards, glamour. Barbara's music and soul will always shine brightly in the hearts of those who love her, even though the stage lights may have dimmed. Her journey is more than just a star's tale, it serves as a potent reminder of the resilience of love, willpower, and tenacity. Music will fade, but what you leave in other people's hearts is what really endures, as she herself once stated. What do you think of Barbara Mandrell's incredible journey? Has she influenced you in the same way that she has influenced a whole generation of country music fans? Tell us in the comments section below. For more motivational tales about music icons, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Let's make sure that Barbara Mandrell's legacy endures in our hearts and for future generations.